Hey, welcome. This is the fourth question of the Lent Bible study. And this is, what does Easter mean? And that word Easter, there's a bit of debate, even where the term Easter comes from. And the Venerable Bede of the 8th century, he's like, it seems to be connected to an Anglo-Saxon term, Eostre, butchering this, the Anglo-Saxon goddess that's associated with spring and fertility. There's the understanding we can find from the Conference of Catholic Bishops who say it comes from an Old English word meaning east, which also makes sense, that the sun rises on the east, that there's a new day. And part of the resurrection is it's new life, it's renewal, it's a brand new day. And when we're thinking about those symbols of new life, that's where we get the eggs from, an egg being the symbol for new life. And then we get the bunny, the Easter bunny. And that symbol doesn't come about until the 19th century. It's cute. It's also weird, right, that the bunny lays eggs, because we know that bunnies don't lay eggs, but there's a sense of laying out new life. And when we're thinking about how the earliest Christians celebrated Easter celebrated from pretty much the very beginning. Sundays were seen as mini Easters. And then by the 4th century, we have there's a day set aside every year for that celebration. And Easter is always connected. Why it moves is because it's connected to Passover. And so the timing of Passover, which we find in the Gospels, that Jesus had Passover with his disciples, and then he was arrested. Then there was the crucifixion, and then there was the resurrection 3 days later. So that's how the timing gets laid out. And it's also why it moves, because Passover moves according to the moon cycles. And when we're thinking about how we celebrate Easter, that when we go to the scripture to go, all right, so what's happening on Easter? Where are we getting all of this? We can find the women are at the tomb in Matthew 28, 1-8, Mark 16, 1-8, Luke 24, 1-12, and John 20, 1-13. We get 4 accounts, and all of them are different. And it's interesting how they are different, and it's interesting how they are the same. And so I recommend actually reading them back to back just to see all of the differences. And you go, well, why are they different? Well, we've got different storytellers. We've got different perspectives. Also, they're highlighting different things about the story. Like when you tell a story and you tell it a second or a third time, depending upon what it is, it might be that you highlight different things depending upon who you're talking to, or just in your memory of the way that you tell it. You may highlight certain things different times, or sometimes you go, I wish I had remembered to say that. I know in doing these, there are times where I'm like, I wish I had remembered to say. And so it's an opportunity for that. And when we're looking at the different accounts, I'm just going to read one of them. And I'm going to read Matthew 28, 1-8. And it says, after the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descending from heaven came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised, as he said. Come see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead. And indeed, he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. This is my message for you. So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy and ran to tell the disciples. So Matthew's account, it's the only account that has guards. None of the others say anything about there being guards. So that's one thing to take note of. Oh, okay, well, there's guards. And in all 4 Gospels, Mary Magdalene is present. In John, she's the one that comes to the tomb. So even that of going, interesting. So we have different people named at different times, but there's a sense of the importance of each of the stories, of recognizing the importance of women, and they are sharing the first time who they even come across. So here we get a messenger, an angel of the Lord, that is said to be, the clothes are like lightning and as white as snow, the appearance like lightning and clothing as white as snow. And so very stark, very bright, very life-thinking, life-giving, the way the sun shines and helps things grow. And it's interesting because in Luke, there's actually two people that show up at the tomb that are angels or messengers from God. And each one gives us a sense of, all right, what is important? What's important for us to take? And I kind of want us to think about John's account a little bit, because John's is a little bit different. With John, we get Mary Magdalene there. And so she's there. She finds the tomb empty. She runs to get Simon Peter. Simon Peter comes back. They go, oh my goodness, it's empty. And then she's hanging around, and this person approaches her. She doesn't realize it's Jesus. Think about that for a moment. In John's account, they absolutely do not recognize him. Now, in the others, at different times after the resurrection, Jesus is not recognized until he says something like their name, which in John, he says Mary, and all of a sudden she realizes who it is. She realizes she's in the presence of Jesus, resurrected Christ. And in others, he says something like peace be with you, or he does something where it's breaking of bread, like he did at the Passover meal, of breaking the bread and pouring the wine. And then it is, okay, something is different, and it awakens them to, oh, we are in the presence of Jesus. And so it gives space to understanding, well, who is the resurrected Christ? Who is Jesus now? And that people don't have a definitive answer. Just as all four gospels give us different ways of thinking about the story, we don't have a definitive, this is the only way to think about it, which is really quite helpful, because these are stories that are meant to help us think about, all right, who is Jesus? Who is God? What did Jesus to be resurrected? For some, has to be a bodily resurrection. It has to look a particular way. For others, they can be more in the symbolism of going, you know what? Love does not die. At the very basis of this story is that God's love, that God cannot die. That no matter what horrendous event has happened, no matter what has been done, that love cannot die. And so there's a multitude of ways in all of this space for understanding and peeling back layers, because some of these stories may resonate with us differently depending upon where we are in our lives. And so to explore them is an opportunity then to go, all right, what is going to resonate with me about what is the meaning of Easter to me? Is it simply just chocolate bunnies, Cadbury eggs, Easter egg hunts, or is there something more profound? We live in a chaotic world at times, and maybe we even feel chaos in our own lives. And yet Easter is saying, no matter how much chaos has happened, God is still present. Love is still present. Love cannot die. And so I hope that you have found this helpful. And in the description, I've made sure to put the different scriptures that my hope is that you'll actually go through and look at them and go, and ask questions of it. And please let me know if you do have questions, if you comment, and I will respond in or a message. But to think about what does Easter mean to each of us that is more deeply connected to the love of God? I hope you have a wonderful evening.